Welcome to my podcast. My name is Corrinala, and I come to you from the Pacific Northwest, where I live with my husband, 2 horses that I adopted from the Bureau of Land Management Wildhorse Adoption Program, and 2 kitties we adopted from the local animal shelter. Information about these adoption programs will be in the show notes for every episode. The purpose of this podcast is to share real-life stories that hopefully are relatable to other crafters who might be interested in horses. The format of this podcast starts with a walk to the barn to feed the horses, catch up on the week, share my knitting projects, and other interests like bicycling or hiking. I also talk about vegetable gardening and cooking. I hope you bring your favorite beverage and a fun, crafty project to work on. Enjoy! Good morning, friends. Today is June 5th, 2026. Let's catch up while I walk out to the barn to feed the horses. I wanted to share with you these lovely peonies that a friend of mine gave me last week when she and her husband came over for dinner. So she lives a little bit north, but it's in a warmer place. And I also want to show you the peonies that are in my garden. So they're just coming up blooming. Looking forward to that. I have a bunch on the south side of the house as well. So that's north facing. This week, well, let's start with, I have a half finished object for you because I have, I guess, made peace with going to the office, and that is by taking public transportation. I confess that I take great delight in using my bus pass, which is paid for by my employer. I take great delight every time I tap it against the ticket device thing. That it's all contactless. We are in my pump house, turning on the water to the barn. And I have to do that. Let's see. So I take a bus that is just the park and ride's just a couple miles from here. So I tap it there. I tap it once I get to the light rail station down south, and then I tap it for one more bus, and then I do the reverse on the way home. So that gives me great delight that I get to do that 6 times, twice per week. And I'll talk more about knitting on the bus. That's the title of the episode. So I'll talk about that when I get into the projects. What else is going on? We've had a mix of weather. It was really hot, like I want to say close to 80 degrees on Tuesday, and now it's kind of cloudy and cool. It rained a little bit yesterday, and I think we're expecting quite a bit of rain this weekend. I am going to Fiber Fusion Northwest this weekend. It starts today. I don't have any classes today, and I have a class tomorrow on sashiko, which isn't knitting, but it is making repairs with some element of design, which I confess I'm not that great with the needle and thread, but I hope to improve that skill. And then on Sunday, I have a class on two-handed colorwork, which I do regularly. That is my preferred way to knit colorwork. However, my tension is always off. My right hand knits a lot tighter than my left hand. So hopefully I'll learn some tips and tricks about that. I'm not sure I have a whole list of things to talk about that I made this morning. Lots of projects to share with you. Good morning, oh. Bragi is in his stall, probably patiently waiting for his breakfast like a good boy. So let's catch up with the knitting when I get back to the house. Hi friends. Let's catch up on the knitting, shall we? So let's start, as we always do, with what I'm wearing. And I actually took off one of my socks to share with you. This is a pattern by Kay Jones. It is the Beachcomber sock. It's a pretty cool pattern. She warned against using a variegated or speckled yarn, but I think it's okay. And they're socks. The colorway is by Legacy Fiber Art, so I don't know if I had my fingers in front of the pattern the whole time. So it's this nifty kind of wave-like pattern, and then it's stockinette in the back. I believe the colorway is one of the Christmas colorways from several years ago, and if I remember right, it's called Dreidel. I was going to say Dirndl, but that's not the right thing. That's not even the right country or region. But Dreidel is the name of the colorway. What else am I wearing? This is a top by Stephanie Lotven, and it's from the book Knit Happy with Self-Striping Yarn. So this is a Freckled Whimsey colorway, and it is knit sideways. It's knit bottom up, and you'll recognize this yarn because I am using the same yarn. This is a Knit Picks Gloss, and it's in the colorway Clarity. And I am knitting, one of my works in progress is a pattern from that book, and I am using this Knit Picks Gloss in the colorway Clarity for the body. Okay, shall we get started on, well, let me just follow up with a topic from last week. And that topic is about giving away hand knit items. So I did, after the podcast, I showed you some of the things I was considering. Not all of those went into the donation bag. The cropped sweater, which was also a Stephanie Lotven pattern that I've knit twice, and it's called Backlit Tee. And I made it out of 2 skeins of, they were smaller skeins of fingering weight yarn from Legacy Fiber Arts. So that went in the donation bag. And I think, I want to say the Rocket Tee, where it was kind of a pale blue, and it was held with a mohair, and it was a little bit too big for me. That, I believe that also went in the donation bag. And there might have been, I think, a cowl that I did not show. It's a cowl that I made. It was probably one of the very first, I'm sure it was the first item that I had knit in the round. That went in the donation bag. I have another one exactly like it that my mom made that knitted for me that I kept. So those were some of the main things. I was also considering giving away a tank top by Kuto Vakika, but I actually wear that a fair amount, even though I have 2 of them. So I decided to keep that, and I decided to keep the shawl that I showed, that I was going to rip out. I had turned into a poncho. I'd crocheted it together and turned it into a poncho, and that wasn't working. So I unpicked that, and actually unpicked a little too much, so I had a little repair work to do. And so I kept that as well. So now let's get into the whips. I have a large number of projects for you to share. So I have the whip pile. Let's see if I can get, whoops, sorry about that. Let's just get to it, shall we? I have the whip pile and then some potential cast-ons that I will be doing in the near future. So let's start with the project that's in this bag. This is a bag, quilted bag made by my mom. And this has the Staffin Lite, which is a Rebecca Clow pattern. This pattern comes with a lot of options. I am knitting the DK version, and it is a tank. Let me try to get this untangled. This is the same yarn that I knit or crocheted my wedding shawl, and I have made, I think, a fair amount of progress on it. It just seems like it's really backwards. Okay, so I am starting on the front. So it's this neat textured pattern. There are options for baubles here. I don't like to knit baubles. I don't like the look of baubles. So I did the lace option, and I connected it to, I think I was working on, maybe last time I showed this, I was working on one of the front pieces. So I'm trying to see, probably this front, because it looks like I joined to this side. So this is what it would look like if I were wearing it. Super fun pattern. There, apparently, what I have heard so far is that there have been a few problems with the fingering weight t-shirt with some of the stitch counts, but so far I haven't had any problems with this, and I think it's going to be lovely. So a little transparent, so I like everything. I wear a tank, I mean, even this one, I'm wearing a tank top under it. And the reason why is because when I go out to the barn, I don't necessarily want to wear my hand knits. So before I go out to the barn, I take this off, I put on a barn shirt over it, and am on my way. I've just found it makes it a lot more efficient. The needles are Chowgu red lace. They are a US size 6, which is 4 millimeters. So working on this, I've been kind of trying to finish up some projects that are close. So I will talk about that. Oh, the yarn is in this cone. It came from the UK, and I don't remember the company, but it is a merino cashmere blend, and I have 2 cones of that. So I expect that I will have a cone left over, so I will knit something else out of that. Okay, I have been making some progress on my socks. So this is also a bag made by my mom. This one's not quilted, but it does have this nice sleeve for the drawstring. And this sock pattern is out of the sock project. I'm knitting the surf wax socks out of self-striping yarn. So this is what the socks look like. And since I'm using self-striping yarn, I don't wear light colored socks. I mean, they just show the dirt, which, you know, to be fair, once they start showing dirt, you should wash them, right? Well, I don't always do that. I mean, especially if I'm wearing them and I'm going out to the barn and coming back. So here is the first sock, which I may have shown you. So you can see that pattern, that chevron pattern. So this is Freckled Whimsey self-striping yarn. Not exactly sure about the stripes on this end, but because the stripes look fairly even, so I'm not exactly sure what happened at this end. Although, no, I don't know why. I have no explanation for this little teeny purple stripe. Unless I joined, I know how I can tell. I can turn it inside out to see if there is not. I was thinking I joined a second ball of yarn. Nope. So this is repurposed yarn. I had knit a pair of socks, and I knit the 2 socks different lengths. So I worked it out. And I'm on the second sock, I believe. Yes, I am on the heel flap right now. And I am using a Chowgu I think these are the 9-inch circulars, interchangeable set, and these are a size 1. No, that's not right. 2.25 millimeter. So is that a size 1? Because typically when I knit magic loop, I use a size 0. So I think I'm knitting the smallest size because I am using the larger needles. So I don't have particularly small feet, but I just knit them to length. I mean, it looks like I have small feet, but I don't. I wear a women's size like 9.5, and I just, the foot's usually around 60 rows plus the toe. And it usually, I'm about 48 stitches or rows for the leg is how I do that. So I expect to, I'm going to hold that thought. So this has been evening knitting, and here is one that I have worked on in fits and starts. So another bag made by my mom. This is a simple drawstring bag out of fabric that she bought in Sturgeon Bay when we were there a couple years ago. She and my sister and my mom, my sister and me. And I am knitting the colorwork socks that are on this cover of this book. Joyful colorwork socks. So I'm not finding them particularly joyful. They're kind of hard because in some places you have to hold, you have to manage 3 strands of yarn, and you know, I much prefer two strands. So I know other designers, if there's a third color, they often slip. I don't know if this pattern would lend itself to that, but just as a reminder, this is the first sock. It's got a short row heel, and I am on the foot of the second sock, and I'm also using 9-inch circulars. I'm probably using a 2.75 millimeter for the color work and a smaller needle for the stockinette and the ribbing. So this is all out of scrap yarn. This yarn is from West Yorkshire Spinners. All the kitties, I could hold the kitties right side up. All the kitties are just scraps. And then this is, I can't remember. This is a heavier duty fingering weight yarn. It's a Finnish, as in Finland, wool. But I can't say I particularly like it, and I was just using it as a contrast color to use it up. But it's going to be I mean, it'll probably hold the sock up very nicely. Not that I have problems with my socks falling down. So, and I also put, this is also this Finnish wool, so I also put this pop of color on the toe. I'm not sure why I did that, and I don't know if I'll do it on the second sock, but it was just me messing around. Okay, that is all I'm going to say about those socks. So, you know, I'll just continue plugging away at those, especially after I finish the surf wax socks. Then I'll have a little bit more to talk about. I've got a couple more projects to show you. I hope you have something nice to drink. I'm working on my second cup of tea. This is my blanket, my 100-acre wood blanket in this bag made by my mom with the lovely horse fabric. And I am on the fifth stripe. So this is by KF Jones. I believe this pattern is available on Ravelry. I got it as a patron, and each square uses about 3 grams of yarn. So so it's been really fun knitting this. I want to say this could be this dreidel colorway from the socks that I'm wearing. This was a mini that I got in an exchange. This is from a tee. I would say a lot of these that are self-striping, those are socks. This is a Woolen Women colorway. And this was a row 1 mini. This is a Legacy Fiber Arts, one of their Christmas colorways. And let's see. I think this is 2 strands of lace weight held together, and this is in a tank that I made. The mini mock neck by Jessie Maid. Look at that bright orange. This is a colorway from Skein and Tipple, a yarn store and speakeasy, I think you call it, on Whidbey Island, on the south end of Whidbey Island. And I put that, I used this in a Love Note, so the first Love Note sweater I made. And some of these are row 1 minis. Can't really remember what that is from. That could have been from a like a mini advent or something like that. Halloween advent, I think. So that's coming along. I mean, I generally knit 1 or 2 squares a week. So I'll keep plugging away at that. I'll put this back on this bag hangs on my armchair, so it's just handy. And then my bag of yarn that I'm drawing from is down there by my feet. All right, and then let's talk about the project in this bag. This is made by my husband. It's getting worn out. He has an industrial sewing machine. I'll show you the pretty side. And then the handles are made from a belt his mom gave him when he was in high school. This is the book I was talking about when I was referring to this project. Knit Happy with color work, or with self-striping yarn. So one of the sweaters I gave away is in that pattern. And this is the Bright Axis tee, and that's the one that I'm wearing. And then I am knitting the sock arms cardigan that I have turned into a pullover. And let me show you. So I finished the sleeves. I just threw the row counter on the floor. Finished the sleeves. So I did that last night. So I think this is going to be really fun. But I don't know if you can see the color difference here. So I am thinking about, I'm going to put what am I going to do? Because the yarn that I have left is from this section that's slightly different. It's a bluer blue than this section. I don't believe I have enough of the, I wonder if I could alternate between this and this for the ribbing around the neckline. Let me know what you think about that idea. So the ribbing is going to go through this V-neck. And I mean, it starts somewhere up here, I think, and then goes around. So I have to read the directions for that. But alternate. What do you think about alternating? Until I just run out of this and then finish with this. That might be enough of a color difference. I am thinking of ripping this back to the armpits. I can try it on real quick since there's no needles on it. And part of the reason why I want to do this is that it's going to be a bit oversized. And I wouldn't mind making it a little smaller. And I want to resolve this color difference by doing helical knitting or every other row striping. So actually well, I could definitely make it a little bit smaller. So I am wondering if any of you have a tutorial for picking. Actually, I may not do it that way. I may, the best way to rip back is to take your needles, a needle, and pick up stitches where you want, where you want to rip to. And then you cut it, and it unravels in the direction you want it to unravel. So I'm thinking of doing that. I'm not sure, I'm going to ponder that, so I may not make much progress on this for a little bit, but we'll see. It's supposed to be a rainy weekend, although I am going to the Fiber Festival this weekend, so I may not have as much time as I think I should. So that is that project. Now, title of this podcast is Knitting on the Bus or something like that. So, and as I said on the walk out to the barn, I have come to terms, made peace with the requirement to return to office. So I found a schedule, a public transportation schedule that works for my schedule, and it seems to meet the intent of the return to office. So on Mondays and Thursdays, I get up at normal time, 4 a.m., but instead of making myself a cup of tea and knitting for a little bit, I go out and feed the horses and, get ready for work. And then I usually have a little bit of time before I need to, actually I could check the bus, because I usually end up having about at least 20 minutes or a half hour. And the place that I pick up the bus is only a couple miles that way. So it takes me no time at all to get there. So I could potentially take an earlier bus. And the bus is, because that's the beginning of the route, it's not crowded at all. And I get my own seat, I get a window, I put in my headphones and I listen to an audiobook or a podcast, and I knit. And I have been knitting on the Lemontop socks. So, and I knit for the bus ride. And then I think I may have already mentioned this. The bus goes down to the light rail station, and then I get on light rail, and then go further south, and then across Lake Washington to the east side, and then I have to catch another bus. Light rail is really crowded through Seattle, and that's not surprising at all, right? And it's great that so many people are using it. It gets really crowded from North Seattle. It's not even Seattle proper. It's a suburb of Seattle until about south downtown Seattle. And then people, there's University of Washington in there, and Capitol Hill, which some of you may have heard of, and which used to be kind of a funky part of Seattle. I don't know that it is anymore. Everything seems fairly gentrified in Seattle. And then South Seattle, then it starts, there's standing room only, and it's just, the seats are pretty narrow, and it would be hard to knit. So what I do during that time is I catch up on my work email on my work phone. And then we go across Lake Washington, which has been fabulous. I took some pictures of my first morning commute, so I'll put those at the end in case you're interested what it looks like. And then we get over to South Bellevue, and I get off the train and get on a bus, and then it's about a 5-minute, it's only like, I think I'm the third stop, and then it drops me off like not far from the office. So all that to say, the first part of the route and the return, I knit on the bus after I get off light rail. So the bus from the transit center, the light rail center, to the park and ride, I get to knit. So here is the first sock that I finished. I finished the toe this morning. I started working on the toe yesterday on the bus. This is a self-striping yarn by Freckled Whimsey. The pattern is by K.F. Jones. Lemontop socks. I'm not sure if this is available to non-patrons. You can always check Ravelry for her, or I think her other place that she sells patterns is Lovecrafts. So it's a I love her patterns. They're well written and they're very simple so that you don't have to think too hard, which is great, especially if you're on a bus and you're taking maybe public transit for the first time. So I just did the contrast color in the heel and the toe, not the heel, the cuff and the toe. And then, like I said a few episodes ago, I actually cast on and did the cuff so that if so it's all ready to just start the leg. So that's pretty awesome. It's nice to get that amount of knitting time to and from. This is also a bag made by my mom. This is the first project bag she ever made me. So it's, it's quilted. It's got a zipper. It's got a handle. It's got a pocket inside. And I love it. So as I'm racing through my socks, and I'm not taking anything that has a book on the bus because it's just, my backpack has limited capacity. It has my computer. It has my lunch. And breakfast, quite honestly, since I leave so early in the morning. And then, a small project bag. So that is perfect. So what I have lined up, and you are probably aware, if you watch other knitting podcasts, that there are a number of sock knit along events. There is Summer Stitching, hosted by the Bakery Bears, and there is Crazy Sock Ladies Summer Sock Camp. So what I have next, and I was just picking out yarn that I already have. Oh, look, another ball of yellow yarn. Who knew I like yellow so much? And this is a self-striping yarn, undoubtedly by Freckled Whimsey. So I'm going to pair these together to make a sock pattern that I have knit before, and it is it's Sophia's Tales Sock Mystery Knit Along, and if I recall, it is a broken rib sock because I have knit this before, and you can use a self-striping and a solid for that. So I'm looking just for easy patterns that I can be aware of my surroundings. I have the needles in, I just need to cast on. These are Chogu Red Lace, size 0. What a surprise. And this is the prototype bag that Randy made when he was trying to do the bigger bag. So it's perfect for a sock pattern. And I could clip this on the outside of my backpack with a carabiner or something, because it's just a little bit, because it's this faux leather and it's lined with felt, it's just a little bit bulky. But where there's a will, there's a way. I've seen other people carrying like 3 bags on the train. So, and I don't want to be that person. I just don't want to keep track of a lot of things. So this is a bag also made by my mom. This is a lined bag. Love the purple flowers. And this is, I think this is a summer stitching pattern. And I did not, there's the daisy pattern. I honestly don't remember what the name of the socks are though. So let me show you what the socks look like. So it has this cute lace pattern, and then it's mostly stockinette. So perfect for commuting knitting. And the yarn that I have chosen for that is my precious Woolen Women yarn. So there's 53 grams of this ball of yarn left. This is the Kentucky Derby colorway, and I used it as a contrast color in the Talvin Colorwork sweater by Caitlin Hunter. So, and I have a lot of the contrast color left, but I am leaning toward this purple for the contrast color for cuffs, heels, and toes. So I think I'll just put this bright pink one away for another project. Who knows? Maybe it can be a color work project. So I'm going to save this for when I have more needles. Actually, I know I have a set of needles available because when I finished the Lemontop sock, that freed up one set of needles. So I could certainly put those in this bag and get a cuff cast on. The other project that I could cast on, and this is a shawl. It's in this is the Warm Beach Christian Camp logo where I ride, and I'll talk about that in a minute. This is going to be a long episode, so I hope you are enjoying a project. I already have the needles for it. It is a US size 3, and this is a pattern by Rebecca Clow, or the Crayabea Dafty Days shawl. This might have been intended for an Advent. It kind of looks like it, but what I am doing is I repurposed some yarn from a cowl that I knit and didn't like. But it has, I think, the right number, the right type of yarn. So I'm going to show this through the plastic bag. So it has like all these minis, and then it has this one main color. So that is what I am planning to do with that. So stay tuned for when I cast those on. But that's kind of the order of operation for train knitting or bust knitting. Is a couple pairs of socks and this shawl. That was the knitting stuff. Excuse me. So let me look at my computer and see what else I wanted to talk about. So I talked about the hand knits giveaway. All of this is about de-stashing. I'm trying to get rid of stash and knit it up into things, possibly giving away more things, and being more intentional about yarn that I purchase. And I will be tested this weekend because I'm going to a Fiber Fest. So probably one of the things I should do this afternoon is pick out some patterns that I want to knit and see what my yarn needs are for that. Because undoubtedly there will be some beautiful things. I also intend to buy like more accessory type things, like some scissors or yarn snippers. They don't have to be scissors. They can be almost like a like an envelope slicer, you know, that are often giveaways at different events. I think you know what I'm talking about, but a yarn cutter could be very much like that. In fact, I have one on order from, let me see, it's Knitty Natty's Sock Week, which happens in July. So lots of sock stuff going on. Let me think. I'm looking over at the shelf that has my scraps on it, but I don't think I have anything new to say about that. So let's just talk about the week. So it was really warm earlier this week. I think it was almost 80 degrees on Tuesday, and I did take some time away from work and went on a bike ride, just a real short one around the neighborhood. And that was awesome. And then it really cooled down quite a bit. And it's been a little bit cloudy. It's supposed to rain today. Which brings me to the garden. So I have made some effort on the garden. I did a lot of weeding on Sunday. Got all the stuff that had been flowering, like the broccoli and kale and chard. I'm hoping that some of those seeded a little bit so that I have a little bit of a regenerative garden. But just in case, I started planting some things. So I planted some greens in pots, and probably need to water today if it doesn't start raining this afternoon like the forecast says. And I started some herbs as well, and I'm waiting for some lettuce seeds to come from, I think it's Kelly Kim Garden that I ordered from. Yeah, lettuce seeds. Oh, I planted some beans bush beans and pole beans, and I use the Gardening by the Square Foot method. So that's a book you can check out from the library, or I ended up purchasing it from Amazon. And, you know, thank goodness Amazon tells you when you have ordered something, because I was about to order it. I remembered having the book from the library last year and really liking it. I was like, man, I could really use that book. So I just was going to go to my Amazon app and order it. And it says, you ordered this, you know, on some date last year. And I was like, cool. Well, I know where it is then. So, but I could have multiple copies because I just don't remember everything. Horses, you know, Odin hasn't been quite the same since he got exuberant about going out to graze. And so I am restarting his PT at 5 minutes and being very careful and gentle with him, because he's still, when I start walking towards the fence, he doesn't just follow me. He stays in the round pen and stares at me. And then he realizes I'm going to go open the gate, and he comes trotting down. And I was like, you don't have to do that. You can just walk. And he's like, ow, ow, ow. Well, that's not making it very promising for riding. So I'm having the vet out in a week or two, and we're going to talk about next steps, which I think is going to be some sort of injectable something or another. I talked to a friend of mine last weekend, and she said it worked wonders for her horse. And the vet gives the initial injection, and then, you know, you can do it yourself after that. It's a monthly injection. So hopefully, fingers crossed, that works, because I really don't want to go the route of joint injections. For one thing, there's some risk to that, and there's always x-rays that need to happen. The benefit is that it only needs to be done, I think, once a year. So, you know, you think about, well, the monthly injection versus doing it once a year. And I imagine Odin has probably his front fetlocks and his, so probably 4 joints that would need to be injected, and his stifles. So we'll see. I'll keep you posted. The other thing is I did some math about hay. I was going to have to think about ordering more hay and thinking about how much it costs if I go get it myself per bale, versus how much it costs to have it delivered. Honestly, for the entire year, it costs $300 more to have it delivered, but that's less than $1 a day. And I don't have to do a darn thing except get the horses out of the way and rearrange a little bit of fencing. It's super easy. So, you know, considering my time, the fuel, especially with diesel at, you know, around $7 a gallon right now, it just doesn't make a lot of sense time-wise. I mean, it takes me at least an hour to go get the hay, bring it back here, and then at least 2 more hours to unload it and stack it myself. So time is money. Make sure that you pay yourself when you're factoring in those, when you're factoring in costs. Okay, what else do I want to talk about? You know, really, I think that is about it. I've probably, this is going to be a longish episode, probably 45 minutes. So thank you for sticking with me, and I hope you are getting lots done on your crafts, and I wish you the best, and I'll keep you posted and hopefully have some pictures from the yarn or the fiber festival. Take care. One quick note before I let you go. I forgot to mention that last week was the last lesson of the 10 lesson series that I was taking at Warm Beach Christian Camp, and I got to canter. We did a lot of working over poles to prepare ourselves for a potential jump course eventually, but the jumps were not raised off the ground at all. I feel like I would have been ready for that. My 2-point position is really solid, but I hadn't cantered yet, and I did get cantered, and it was awesome. The horse I was riding, Ember, the lovely thoroughbred mare, she has a wonderful canter. So with that, I'll let you go. Take care, everyone.